Hello and welcome back to the Impossible Entrepreneur podcast. I'm architect Anna and I'm an entrepreneur on a mission to do the impossible. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about debt. And not just any type of debt, but time debt. And there are so many different types of debt in this world, and time debt is just one of them that I don't think gets talked about as much. So I am someone who was in financial debt, however you want to look at it. My accounts were negative. I didn't have lots of loans that I had to repay or anything, but I was beyond the zero in the down section. And debt in any form is basically when you are taking something that you don't have, and then you have to leverage that back in the future. So it's a form of borrowing, right? So if you're borrowing money, you're borrowing it, but then you do have to give it back. For time, this can have a lot of different side effects. So you might be doing something and you might be thinking, oh, this is easy, but then you might have to pay for it being easy later in one way or another. And it could just be your situation demands it and you have to just get through it and then make things better. I totally understand that. I absolutely probably had health debt, to be honest, where I over leveraged my physical ability to do things, and then that impacted my health. And then I've now had to pay for that to try to fix it slowly. So yes, financial debt, time debt, all of those things. So what exactly is time debt? I'm just going to read it so that you guys understand it very, very clearly. So time debt basically refers to the choices that you make today that cost you additional time and energy in the future. So just like financial debt, it is a form of borrowing. So you take shortcuts, you overcommit or procrastinate now. Procrastination might be an obvious one. It's definitely something I did in my university years. But you will eventually have to pay it back, often with accumulated interest. So yeah, procrastination's an easy one. I mean, there were times when I was writing my master's degree thesis and I just didn't want to do it all day long. And then I would finally start doing it at midnight or 2:00 in the morning. And then I would work solidly for 8 hours. And then I would have to go straight back into a lesson, or I would have to go straight back into work or strategy. So yeah, absolutely. Because then I was exhausted when I could have just done it at a normal time. So the interesting thing about time debt is that actually you can sort of reverse it with AI, because there might be things that you're doing now that will mean that you're going to have to work beyond retirement in the future. And not all of it's just time, but let's say you're not putting money into your pension, for example, and you're working part-time because you also want to do a bunch of other things. There's nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with living your life. But if you want to have a really lovely, amazing, relaxed life in the future, you might have to hustle more now and get things done and set things up in a smart way so that you then have more time in the future, time for whatever that might be. Like if I want to have a family in the future, I want to make sure that I can actually give time to them rather than constantly be working. But the only way that I can think to do that is to make sure that I put in the work now. I put in the effort, I put in the energy, I learn as much as I can to do all of this in a smart way so that I then get that time back later, so that I can, go on more holidays with my sister and visit my family. So there's a couple examples there. But you can absolutely use AI to tackle time debt. And it's going to be the deficit created when you have more commitments than hours in the day. So if you can use AI to streamline your commitments, look at, basically an audit, I think can be really, really helpful. So reviewing what you actually need to do and what you don't need to do, what can be removed, reduced, delayed, or managed is a good example. But it's going to require you moving from manual time blocking to dynamic, potentially AI-driven automation or workflows. So the strategy relies on 3 core actions, which I made sure to write down so that I didn't forget them. One is going to be AI-assisted auditing to identify inefficiencies. You can do this in a lot of different ways. A super easy way is doing a 5-day task diary. So everything you do, how long it takes, what's your exact tech stack, who else is involved, is it repetitive, is it time consuming, is it draining, how do you actually feel about it? That's something that you can do. 5 days. You can do this repeatedly to look for constant areas of inefficiency. You can use an AI scheduling assistant to automatically optimize your calendar, for example. So yeah, you could connect an AI system to your calendar to review it, Or again, you could do this task diary and then have it give suggestions if you don't want it actually connected to a calendar in case it's secure. And lastly, you can use generative AI to slash time spent on routine tasks or potentially agentic AI. If you listen to the last episode, we were talking about building a self-evolving AI organization. Yeah, that it's an unimaginable amount of time saved because it's not time that you would ever spend because it's physically impossible for a human to do what I said in the last episode. For a single human to do all of that, impossible. So it's not like, oh, you'd save a certain amount of time. It's just you'd be able to do more than ever before. So it's an interesting one if you haven't listened to it. So when you're thinking about like time debt, it can be beneficial if you want to have a more relaxed future to see what you might be able to do now to reduce it. For me, I would like to have like a very balanced, full, lovely life. And I've always kind of had like at least half my brain sitting in the future and trying to focus more on the present. So for me, this is something that I've been working on to try to like really, really hustle now to then have an easier life later. I feel like it's a form of pure laziness, which probably comes as some sort of shock. But if you want someone to do something efficiently, give it to the laziest person you know, because they will find the easiest possible way to do it. But I know that I have energy issues and I would like to be more relaxed. And the only way to do that is to work really, really, really hard for several years, probably more than several years, and then have a nice life. I mean, it's already happened. Like it's already happening. When I first started this, like really, really intentionally started this process, I was working at least 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And again, this is health debt. Like I put my health not even second, not even third. I just did whatever I could to get out of financial debt and then, be able to have a much more comfortable life so that I wouldn't be so stressed and irritated all the time with my living situations and the constant discomfort of the life that I had. So I put in all of that effort and now I get to work significantly less than that, significantly less. I would say now I'm working a maximum of 8 hours a day, a maximum of 5 times a week, and then maybe 1 to 2 hours on the other days, maybe, or maybe like 15 minutes if it's just something small, just to like make sure things are constantly moving forward or checking. If I need to like have an AI do something, I might need to review the results and send it off on its way. So it's significantly dropped, and I would like to continue that in the future. The thing that I've designed for myself is a process of being able to earn a certain amount of money so that I can then only have to work a certain amount of days per month and then use that to then be able to work more to then be able to bootstrap my tech startup. But if you're bootstrapping something, first of all, there's a lot of time and energy and money that's going to go into it, but you need to have that time and energy and money spare. So how do you build a system that gets you to that point? That's what I'm considering. What I'm doing right now is a bridge. And for you, you might have an idea of where you want to be in the future. And you could be saying like, okay, I want my lifestyle to look like this, and I only want to work 3 days a week, 4 days a week for 5 hours a day, whatever. How do you get to that point? What is it that you need to do now to get there? Or if you want to make sure that you have a more flexible schedule so that you can spend more time with your family or your hobbies, okay, that's where you want to go. Where are you now? I mean, I feel like I say this in a lot of different ways across this podcast. It's goal-based, You're ambitious, you got a goal, whether your ambition is to do less or your ambition is to do more. It's still an ambition. It's still a goal. So whatever it is that you want, what do you need to do now and how long is it going to take for you to get there? Things always take longer than you think they will. But what can you do now to get to that point? So for me, I know that like, first of all, I'm going to have to start selling for myself again, which I've started doing. I'm going to need to start doing more marketing and lead generation systems, which I've been working on. And I'm excited to see how they play out from I'm just curious. And it's going to be good. And then it will mean that I have to work less and I have more control over my schedule and the work that I am doing, which is great. So yeah, eventually it would get to the point, ideally, where I'm only delivering training, for example, for 4 days out of the entire month, but I'm earning multiple 5 figures. hours, which would be nice. Because there's different types of work, and depending on what you do, you might not be aware of this, but doing like public speaking or training, it can be awesome, but it can also be quite draining because you're so high up and energy wise, mentally, you have to like hold everything and give everything all at once. And that's great. And I love it. I'm good at it, but it like really, really zaps my energy. So it's something that I shouldn't do as often as well to be able to like stay fresh and stay on top of it. So I know that I need to really reduce that down, rather than do it like back to back to back to back to back because it gets hectic. And then I can do deep work. Like if you're actually building something, you're bootstrapping, maybe you're building a side hustle, you're trying to scale your current business as an entrepreneur, you still need that energy to be creative and test things and build things. And that is the time that I need back. It's the energy that I need back, actually. Time is not so much an issue anymore. Finances aren't so much an issue anymore. The main issue I have is energy. And I'm working on a lot of different ways with AI and data to try to figure out how to get that back from a perspective that like the medical system, as much as they try, like they can't look at everything holistically for every single patient because they just don't have the time and energy and resources for it. And for me, it's something that I just know that I need to take back on board. So I'm hoping there's something that I've said here that will help you realize that you can actually get what you want, but you need to maybe start doing it now for something that you want. And it might not come for a couple years, but then you will be able to get it. I think sometimes, not everyone, people want things very quickly. Like they want a quick solution or a quick answer. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like that's just really not how it works in a lot of cases. I know that there are outliers and that can happen. But in general, to get something that you really want, it takes a lot of hard work, very consistently putting in the effort, and then eventually it will happen. So if you're in a position now and you're doing things and you realize that, oh, wow, I'm going to have a lot of debt in the future, whatever that debt might be, time debt, financial debt, health debt, what can you do now to maybe like put on the brakes and see what you can do to change that so that you actually you're not in debt, you're in surplus later. So the opposite of time debt is like time surplus. How do you have more time? Because out of everything on this planet, time is really, really kind of the one thing that you can never get back once it's gone. We only have so much time. And if you look at that as a currency, like if currently like finances is your biggest currency, eventually once you sort out your finances, it could become time being your biggest currency. How do I save time? How do I get more time back? And I know for a lot of the executives I'm working with, I'm looking for tasks that they do that are wasting their time, their potential, their energy, all of that. Things that do not require their intelligence, creativity, or expertise. What can we possibly do to offload that? The way that I look at AI is it's a tool, it is there to support you with whatever it is that you need support with. If that's to give you time and energy back, awesome. If that's to make your life better by making you more money, awesome. Whatever it is that you would like, you can strategize that with a chatbot. You can strategize that with an AI tool and figure out a solution. So just set the goal, figure out your current starting point, and then build a ladder or a staircase in between those two things, and then just constantly take action. Sometimes I think to myself, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I'm like, what is the point of all of this? But I think it's important, especially if you're on a very long journey, on a very long road, is just to sort of like blindly trust that the path that you set yourself is the right one and the actions that you're taking will eventually work. You will not see the results on a day-to-day basis. You will not see how like this little bit of energy and this little bit of work constantly builds up, but it will. It could take a full year. I mean, for me, it's like when I started all of this and I really, really did it intentionally, it was September, October 2024. By June, July 2025, I was out of debt. By end of October 2025, I had completely changed my living circumstances. Like completely. So that only took really a year. It only took a year. But if you'd looked at any point along the journey, it would look like there were constant setbacks and it just didn't make sense to like why I was doing any of it. Like no results, nothing happening. You're like, okay, there's a little win here, a little win there, but is it really adding up? Eventually it will. So if you would like to have more time in the future, then amazing. I mean, I was working with an executive last week and she does some pretty crazy things. I can't go into too much detail about it, but I also didn't realize that protocols were very, very similar to the mindset of contracts and pre-mortems. So like from a strategic perspective, like just like logistics, what needs to happen, what needs to be organized, what are potential like things that could go wrong and how to prevent them and like contingencies and fallbacks. And I was like, oh, protocols makes total sense to me. What? I just didn't understand that like it was this very similar to other things. But yeah, she manages so many different things at a very, very high level. And I was like, well, what do you want? Like, what are your goals? And she was like, I want to chill. I want to relax. I want more time to do nothing. And I was like, oh, I guess we could work with that, right? Because I mean, sometimes I'll work with people that are super ambitious. They are like, they're just getting started on their entrepreneurial journey and they're like, I want to be a billionaire. And you're like, okay, what's step one? How do we focus there? Or I'm talking to executives and they want to, be like C-suite. They eventually want to take over the company they're working for. Awesome. I can work with that ambition. We can do that. But for, I guess, like flip side ambition, which is you want to do less, also, you can set that as a goal, not necessarily like a down ladder, but something that you're looking to achieve because the freedom to be able to not have to do anything is pretty amazing if you think about it from an ambition perspective. It's not necessarily something that's like right for you or for me, but for this person, they'd worked super hard for their whole life and now they just want a break. They want to relax. They want to travel. There's nothing wrong with that. And I was like, okay, let's work with that. Here you are now. When do you want to get to that point? How do you work backwards? How are you going to fund yourself? Is this purely going to be through savings or are you going to start something on your side, like on the side? What are you planning on doing? If you really want that lifestyle, what do you need to do to get there? So there you go. Here is an episode on time debt and how you can also reverse that so you have time surplus, right? I think AI can be super, super helpful with the time surplus. And in the next episode, we're going to be talking about, it's a bit random, bit of an off one. We're going to be talking about building a nightmare app. But also, I guess if we're talking about health debt, one of the things that I've ignored for the vast majority of my life is this area that we're going to talk about in the next episode. And now I'm finally trying to take action to solve it and make my life better, which maybe you will be able to do something similar. I don't know. Okay, well, I hope you have a great day and I will see you then.